everyone. Welcome to this episode of Unraveling the Veil with your host, Yara Rose, also known as Katie Mosier, from the yararose.com website. That is YARAROSE.com. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to this episode of Unraveling the Veil. I am so excited to be back here with you guys all today. I love talking to you guys. I really do. It's just such a blessing to have this outlet for us to get together, talk about life. I don't know, just share my experiences with you in hopes that it can bring you a kinship, a resonance, the knowledge that you are not in this life alone. Today, we're going to talk a little bit more about evolution, personal evolution. But I did want to, before I got into the topic today, I had this really cool thing happen and I just wanted to share it with you because it may present the opportunity down the road for you to experience some new, slightly different content on here. Not all the time, of course, but just every once in a while I'll have a little deviation. And that news is that Unraveling the Veil was featured on the Million podcast in 3 different categories. It was listed in the 100 Self-Identity and Awareness podcast. It's also identified in the Intuition podcast group and the Individuality podcast group. And that's really cool because it recognizes that Unraveling the Veil has a dedication to personal growth, to evolution, to helping you understand how amazing getting in touch with your own intuition is and how it can create this amazing ability for you to navigate through the world in a completely different way, should you so choose. And I just appreciate that recognition because that will help get this podcast out there for other people to hear it that may need it. And also it may bring in opportunities for people that have also been on the journey that we've all been on to come on here and share their stories with you as well, which brings in new opportunities for you to relate to other people. And isn't that just awesome in itself? I think that's so cool. So I just wanted to share that with you guys all today. Now I would like to switch to today's topic. And I want to start by mentioning a movie that I absolutely love and adore, and it's one of my favorites. It's called The Holiday, and it's about 2 females who feel very dissatisfied in their own lives, and they decide that over the depressing holiday weekend, instead of staying in their lives and just being bummed out by where they're at and what's going on, they're going to exchange houses and live in each other's shoes for a little while. To me, it's one of my favorite movies. Enough said. I could go on about it forever. But the reason I'm bringing it up today is because there's this amazing part where Iris, who lives in England, came over to California and met this film producer named Arthur, and she started just hanging out with him. And there's this one point in the conversation that is so poignant in her life because it helps her to really truly see and understand where her power is, and maybe gives her the opportunity to see herself in a new life, and definitely to take the life that she wants by the horns and start creating in an intentional, more deliberate way instead of by unconscious patterns. It's more of that moment of like, hey, I'm going to be intentional with my life. I'm going to make deliberate decisions and be conscientious of why I'm making these decisions. And I want to read this quote to you because it's just so cool. I like it. And it says, Arthur Abbott turns to Iris and says, "In movies, we have leading ladies and we have the best friend. You, I can tell, are a leading lady, but for some reason, you're behaving like the best friend." He then adds, "You're so right. You're supposed to be the leading lady of your own life, for God's sake." And I think that's awesome because it reestablishes to all of us that we are all supposed to be the leading men or women in our lives. And it's up to us how that's going to show up. It's up to us how we are going to curate our lives in a way that most uplifts us. It empowers us to make the choices and decisions to create the life that we would like to live, to lead it, to make the decisions that are going to bring us those opportunities. It empowers us in the most beautiful and wonderful ways. And once you realize that, hey, I am not going to continue creating by default. I am going to start being aware of my choices and why I'm making those choices and whether those choices are still in alignment with my highest goals or not. That's where you get your power back. that's where you start making these slight changes here and there and everywhere. And you start seeing how things shift based on how you're choosing to tell the story of your own life. Because you guys, we are all curators of our own life based on the stories that we have within ourselves. And on that note, I just want to share this experience that I had last week where Spirit kept drawing me to this specific YouTube video by Kelly Clarkson in a recent show that she had done. I think it was in July of 2025. I don't watch a lot of live performances videos because I just feel like you can't hear their voices very well because the crowd's making a lot of noise. And I usually typically try to go for the soundtrack version where I can actually hear what they're saying. But for some reason, this particular video just kept coming up on my feed and I kept feeling drawn to look at it. So I watched it, and it was this really cool experience where Kelly Clarkson, who wrote this song Piece by Piece, I think way back in like 2015, maybe. I could be wrong. This song, when she wrote it, was about how her father abandoning her and her family at a very young age left her feeling worthless. And it didn't matter what they did. The father just wasn't interested in them. And then it was about, at that point, how her then husband had come into her life and reestablished a faith in the male. I want to say, he was her husband, but they had kids. So it was kind of this male father role, and how she was able to then see with him in her life, how that role could be different, how not all men abandon women, and it gave her an opportunity to challenge that story inside of her that had been created by her father abandoning them. And she gave him so much credit in that song for opening her eyes to that alternate view of reality, and just for showing up and for being a genuine human being. And then, I don't know if you know a lot about them, but eventually their marriage fell apart, and it didn't sound in the press like it was the cleanest break. So I think from what I gathered in her pre-song speech, it sounded like over time, this song became a burden to her almost a little bit, because how do you sing about how wonderful your husband is and how he changed your world when he no longer is in your world and when your breakup wasn't the most idyllic? But what I really loved is her fans resonated with Piece by Piece so much that she felt that it was wrong not to sing it for them and deprive them of that. But she also honored herself in the fact that it no longer resonated with her. Her viewpoint, her perception of all of it had changed so much, and it evolved. And that's what we all do. As we go through life, we evolve. Whether we want to or not, we're going to evolve. So you might as well be intentional about how you're evolving. And instead of writing this song off as, I am sorry, fans, I refuse to sing it, she changed it. It evolved to reflect where she currently is. And I absolutely loved the current version of it. I really, really, really enjoyed it. And I've listened to it many times since. I think it's so awesome. I absolutely love how she changed it, because she took the power back on herself. She became the leading lady in her life instead of the friend or the person that needed rescuing. She no longer needs someone else like her husband to rescue her, because she's picking up the pieces herself, and she is changing her life. She is healing inside that wound of abandonment from her father, that wound of feeling worthless, and she is giving herself the time and love and attention that she needed as that 6-year-old girl who had her father walk out on her. And that's amazing, and that's empowering. And that is so brave of her to come out and say that live in front of all of these fans, and then have it recorded and be sent out amongst everyone in the world. It's available on YouTube. Go check it out. It's amazing. She had to be so courageous and so brave in that moment to honor herself and to be vulnerable and honest about, hey, I wrote this song when I had this perception about this situation, and things have changed, but it doesn't mean that the song's bad. It just means that the song also needs to evolve with me, with where I'm at. And I love this on so many levels, because it shows that we're all evolving. And not only are we evolving, but the things that we create are evolving. And that's hard for some people to sometimes take. because sometimes they didn't evolve in the same way. For instance, maybe there's another little girl out there that really resonated with the song as an adult because her father left her and she is still in a loving, committed relationship with a man, and that's why it was resonating with her. But the amazing thing is that song and that original version is still out there for that person that really resonates with this. And then to the people like Kelly Clarkson who no longer resonate with that original version, they're going to have this new version out there available to anyone. And I just love that there are so many opportunities in this world to find the things that really resonate with us. And they may not resonate with us forever. They may just resonate with us for a season, but then there'll be something else, or maybe there'll be a recreation of that particular thing that will resonate with you as well and grow with you as well. You know, there's often this thing in society where they say, can people really change? Can a tiger really change its stripes? Can a person that was really selfish and destructive, can they really change into this loving and caring and compassionate person? And I think that there's a lot of ways to answer that. And I think that it's polarizing. I think that some people are set in their ways on this is a yes and this is a no. But the truth is, every single one of us, every single being on this planet is always evolving. We are always changing. Whether that change is intentional and deliberate or whether it's unconscious, that's one question. And can a person truly change from being one way to the other? I believe they can. I believe that you can do anything, but it takes time. It takes deliberate decisions that are different from the habits that you have established your whole life. It takes going within yourself and healing those wounds that are causing you to act in a certain way. It requires you to face your fears and be honest with yourself about why you're truly doing that destructive behavior. Is that really helping you? Is that really fixing the problem? Is it addressing the problem? Or is it just putting a Band-Aid over something that hurts you so deeply that you don't even want to face? At the same time that I was being shown this video of Kelly Clarkson, Spirit was giving me my own personal messages about this topic. And it was so cool because one morning I drew this dragonfly card and the title of it is Change. And I'm going to read the whole message to you because I really love it for this topic. And I want to talk about it a little bit more. So the guidebook from Denise Lynn in the Sacred Forest Oracle says that this card of change is letting you know that it's all right to change directions. It's okay to change your mind. You do not need to be consistent at every turn. This is the time to put your traditions and expectations of others aside. Instead, you are called to create your own traditions. You are free to express yourself and let your spirit fly. Dragonflies are acrobats of the sky. Not only can they fly backward, they fly upside down and turn 360 degrees, and while looking graceful as they do so, Dragonfly Spirit urges you to take on her same fearless daring. Go beyond predictable behavior. Just because something has always been done a certain way doesn't mean that it needs to continue to be done that way. While you can't control the exact circumstances of your life, you can control what meaning you give to them. Select meanings that empower you, for this is the time to be carefree, wild, and unpredictable. Dragonflies are ancient, taking to the skies 300 to 350 million years ago. They have adapted through millennia and thus survived when many creatures have not. These masters of change are a reminder that change will heal you. The spirit of the dragonfly says, be willing to change your perspective, and good fortune will follow. Sometimes you need to back up to go forward. As people get older, they find it harder to change. So to activate youthfulness, be willing to make changes without hesitation. And you guys, I got this card on the exact same day that I listened to Kelly Clarkson's Piece by Piece, her new version, her healed version is what one of the videos on YouTube calls it. And then when I left work, it was so cool because I walked to my car and there was a dragonfly flying right in front of my car. And I was like, well, that's interesting. I don't usually see those here. And then I start driving home and there was dragonflies in front of my car the whole way home. And then I get home, do a couple things, look outside, and there are dragonflies all over my front yard. Guys, it was so cool, so awesome. Such an amazing validation from Spirit that change is necessary to move forward. Change is necessary and that you're not alone. You have all of these amazing spiritual beings and community ready to help you make that change, whether it's something small or something big, they are there for you. I loved that validation of this message. One thing after another, it just had this amazing flow to it. And it just shows again and again how when you open up to spiritual assistance, when you open up to being willing to see things from different perspectives, how things can change, how the external can start reflecting back to you these opportunities. So that very same week, I had a couple people reach out and see if I would like to interview them or have them on the podcast. And then later we got invited to a party from one of our neighbors that we haven't really been invited to before. And it was just all these things were like, yes, you normally wouldn't maybe have considered this, but say yes, see what happens. These are opportunities for growth. These are opportunities for improvements. And maybe they're not going to be the be all end all, right? But what is? Do you ever do anything that's like, this is it forever? No, they're all steps in your journey of life. And why not say yes? Why not see what happens? You never know. And that's just what this whole theme of what they've been showing me is saying is like, maybe you would normally say no to this opportunity, but why not try it? Why not say yes? And on that note, I asked Spirit if there was any other messages they wanted to share with you today. And they gave me 2 other cards. But the really cool thing about all of it is that the Dragonfly Spirit card is number 12. The next card they gave me is number 24. And the next card they gave me was 48. So I thought it was super cool that as you said yes to each card, your benefits doubled. So like, you said you're in $5. All of a sudden you got 10 and then 10 doubled into 20. That's how it felt because their cards went 12. You say yes to 12, you get back 24. You say yes to 24, you get back 48. And your life just opens up with each yes or no. I don't want you just to say yes to all these things that you really know you don't want to do. If it feels in your heart like a yes, what does a yes feel like? A yes feels like when you first hear it, in that first moment of hearing it, you get excited, you feel light, you feel happy, you feel like this would be a fun opportunity to just be curious about and explore. And then if it's a no, you instantly, when you first hear that opportunity, you instantly feel heavy and pressure and stress. Then it's a no. And this message is about both. It's about honoring your inner heart, honoring your intuition, honoring your true self and what you want to do. When these opportunities come to you, what do you want to do? What is your first initial reaction? And I feel like that's very important to say your first initial reaction because sometimes a yes can feel like a no if given enough time because your initial reaction is, yes, I want to do that. And then all of a sudden your ego's like, no, you don't because of this and because of this and because of this. And mainly it's your ego's scared. It doesn't want you to change. It doesn't want you to step too far out and get hurt. So you have to really focus in that moment when you hear that opportunity and what was my initial response? And then calming the ego's fears, which I think we just did a podcast episode on that, like and then the last 2 or 3 about really truly dialing into what are the fears here and is this really worth not pursuing the opportunity or can we overcome? Can we do it even though we acknowledge that we are fearful? Because that is where courage comes from. You can't tell me that Kelly Clarkson did not have fear when she went on that stage in July and announced that she revamped her song once again. She acknowledged her role in how she originally had this perception and now has changed it. And she feels more empowered with this new version and hopes that everyone else enjoys it as well. There was fear there. I know there was fear there because that's scary to be that vulnerable in front of that many people. It's scary, but she honored herself. She was courageous enough to do that. She was brave. And I, as a fan, resonate with that. And I think that a lot of people do. When you show up in your life in an authentic way, being willing to be vulnerable in that very moment because you're honoring yourself, that is showing up for yourself. That is self-love. That is saying, yes, self, I am really scared, but I know that I really want to do this. So I am willing to be vulnerable for you. I am supporting myself. I am loving myself enough to put myself in this position, trusting that the universe and that I myself am strong enough to not let critics make me feel less than, because I know that I am enough. I know that I am worthy. And I know that everyone is going to have different opinions on what I am about to say, and that their opinions are more about them than they are about me. And they are not going to affect my perception of myself, because I know who I am. When you can get to that point where you can love yourself enough and honor yourself enough to say how you feel about something and not let someone else make you feel less than, not let someone else pull you away from your alignment with source, that is when you are doing amazing. And that's where I want all of us get to in life. I want us all to be strong and brave enough to be able to say, hey, this is where I was at. This is where I am now. I'm moving forward with this. I love your support. But if not, that's fine too. I'm good. I'm moving forward. This train is going. Anyways, I forgot to tell you what the actual other messages were. I was so excited about the fact that when you put in, you get back double what you put in. So put in the good. Say yes to the opportunities that feel right. Say no to the ones that don't, and see how your world changes. And along that path, card number 24 was the meandering pathway, which I'm not going to read the whole card. I'm just going to read the little side note at the bottom because you don't want to listen to me read all day long. So the spirit of the meandering pathway says, everything falls into place when you don't resist the flow of the meandering pathway of life. Allow the path to take you where you need to go. Don't hurry it or resist it. Simply let go, surrender, and enjoy the journey. Card number 48 is Willow Spirit. It's about flexibility. And its little side note says, the spirit of the willow says, be flexible in your life. Be willing to bend rather than break. Be amendable to change, and you will flourish in wondrous ways. Y'all, every single one of these cards is about being open to shifting, changing, pursuing things that maybe weren't what you expected, but what feel right for you in the journey. So I didn't ever see myself going to the gym and participating in a class because it makes me nervous to participate in a class. I feel like everyone's judging me and everybody's staring at me, but this really cool opportunity to do this class on this topic that I really wanted to do, maybe it's some strength training or a specific Pilates type thing or something like that, came up and felt really light when I first heard about it. And then I started feeling bad about it, but maybe this is my meandering pathway. Maybe this is my opportunity to say yes to Spirit. Spirit gave me this opportunity to get out of my comfort zone, to be flexible, to literally stretch beyond what I thought was possible for me and just see what happens. Maybe I'll find that people aren't as judging. Maybe I'll find that people are actually really friendly, and that having that support system and even that accountability partner helps me show up for myself and my class more because I really connect with them and because they help me get a break from my normal routine and because I really enjoy it. It's just flowing and being flexible with the opportunities that come your way, even if they weren't what you exactly expected or ever thought possible of doing. I feel like these cards are all about being open, being able to give yourself the opportunity that you have been waiting for, being willing to stretch outside of your comfort zone and say yes or no, as is what you feel in your intuition, as that intuitive nudge is telling you which way to go, and seeing what happens and seeing that how when you start saying yes or you start saying no to the things that are no longer serving you, how that creates room for other opportunities to come in, for ones that you have been craving to come in, but they haven't had room in your life to come in because you only have so much energy to expend. And if your calendar's full with things that no longer fill you up, then you're having an energy imbalance. You have all this energy going out, but nothing filling your cup back up. So by removing some of those things that are not adding value to your life any longer, you're opening room and making space for things that will start adding value to your life and filling your cup back up, and you'll have more harmony in your life. You'll have more balance. And as you start to balance out more, guess what? You'll have new type of opportunities to come in, which also means you'll have new opportunities to let go of things that no longer serve you because you're constantly evolving. You're constantly regenerating. The things that fit you today aren't going to fit you tomorrow, whether it's clothes that you wear, jobs that you're in, cars, family lifestyle, location, whatever it is. 10 years from now, it's going to look completely different because that's how life is. It's always evolving. Things are changing, and it's up to you how you want to live. How do you want to change? You're going to change. I hate to break it to you. You're going to change. It's inevitable. It's the one constant in life. You're always evolving. So why not choose the direction of your evolution? Why not decide, I am going to be intentional about this decision. I am going to say, you know what? This doesn't work for me anymore. I'm going to let it go right here, right now. I love you. Thank you so much. Remember to thank whatever it is. This job, that cup of coffee that you no longer enjoy, whatever it is. Thank you so much. You were such an important part of my life. I appreciate everything that you added to it, but now we're no longer a great fit. So send it love and be on its way. Spirit also wants me to add that while it may seem very difficult, once you commit to this process and once you do it consistently, you will develop momentum because you will see how it's opening things up for you, how it's allowing your life to expand in the ways and areas in which you have been desiring. And that's going to make it easier each time you're asked to let go of something and make space for something new, because you're going to be like, wow, when I gave up this and I opened my heart to this happened, and then this happened, and I don't even like this anymore. I don't need this. And then you're going to be like, okay, let's go. I'm going to let go of it and see what else comes in, because you're going to have that experience from how many times before where it worked out, where it was almost effortless once you were able to get that surrender in, get that releasing in, and don't put so much pressure on yourself. They say that the pressure sometimes that causes so much unnecessary stress, which then also keeps you in this holding pattern. So stay light with this process. Keep a excited, happy, curious. They always say curious and like adventurous spirit about it. Don't start with like something super heavy, because that's going to be really hard on you to give up. They say to start with something light, something that's not going to cost you a lot to let go of, as far as like, this is my identity type thing. And it's kind of like when we were talking at the beginning of my podcast, like years and years ago, about how when you start trusting your intuition by asking it really small things and having it tell you, yes or no, don't go to the grocery store right now. And then when you followed through with that and then something happened that supported that decision, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to ask again because that really worked out for me. Is it in my best interest to do this? When you build that trust in your intuition, things become easier to trust it with even the bigger things. And I think that's where Spirit is going with this, is it's like, once you establish this pattern in feeling and understanding that, hey, I was able to let go of X, Y, and Z, and I'm still me. Those things did not define me. They were just things that once benefited me and no longer are. And look what I brought in by letting go of those. And what else can I bring in? And it shows your ego that it's okay to change, and that you're not going to have this life-altering, drastic thing happen to you that's going to terrify the ego. It helps it become the ego's never going to be comfortable with change, because that's just the evolutionary job of the ego to keep us safe. So it's not going to be excited about any changes. From my experience anyways, I've never ever had ego be like, yes, let's do that. It's always that, are you sure you want to do that? I don't know if that's a good idea. All these different things that we don't even know could happen because we haven't had past practice showing that that's okay. So maybe we should just stay in our box. That's always been the ego's personality as far as I've experienced it. So knowing that, there will be an easier time for you to be like, oh my gosh, my heart just said yes to that. I'm going to do it. It's okay, ego. Look, we did this, and this, and we were okay. It's not that big of a jump. See? And it might get easier for you, and it will build that momentum that makes it easier for you to continuously implement these intentional changes in your life. And I think that is the cream of the crop. Who doesn't want to get to the point where it's super easy for you to take another stretch outside of your comfort zone? That's my goals anyways, is to be like, oh, I want to do that, and then just do it, and don't have this overanalyzation of, oh, but I don't know, that's kind of scary, and you're always going to have that. But once you have the evidence showing your ego that it's okay to grow, its screams won't be quite as loud, I feel, because it's going to have more evidence of, okay, this is just another step like we did. We can take one step, and then that's how you grow. That's how you grow in a way that's healthy for you. That's how you evolve in an intentional way, in a deliberate way. And that's how you become the star and leading man or woman in your life, is being intentional about your choices and your decisions and moving forward and being brave and having enough self-care and enough self-love and courage to stand up for yourself and what you want and what your desires are. And I really hope that this helps inspire you all to make decisions that you've been wanting to make and to say yes to those opportunities and to say no to those things and those shoulds that you no longer want to do and participate in. I really hope that I've provided you some cool insight and a different way to look at things and a guide to move forward. I have thoroughly enjoyed speaking with you today. I really hope that this helps you in whatever areas you are looking to grow in. And I love you all so much. And I can't wait to speak with you again soon. I love you all. And I wish you the most love, light, and inspiration. With all of my love, Yara Rose.